Utah, a state so amazing, and it has more trails than you can shake a bent tie rod at. It has 5 national parks and hundreds of off-road trails that are around each one. So it's gonna be hard to decide where to spend your time. If you wanna see national parks and off-road, we have some trails for you. Today, we're gonna share our 3 must-dos if you wanna see national parks and also get some off-roading in. So let's get into it. Our first stop on this epic national park off-road journey is, of course, Capital Reef National Park. And the loop you're gonna wanna do is known as Cathedral Valley Loop. It's known as a place that is so remote that even your GPS will put its hands up and go, I don't know. But trust me, it's worth exploring. What's great about this trail is it really has a little bit of everything. As you start, you get to even do a river crossing. And trust me, you're gonna wanna start with the river crossing because if the water's too high and you can't get back, you'd have to do the whole loop back around. So you always start at the river crossing. So once you cross the river, you have entered into an entirely different planet. This trail pretty much has everything. It has deep sands, washboards, amazing painted hills, mining history, and of course, the cathedrals themselves. And of course, if you want to, you can show up at what's known as golden hour to see some amazing sights for Temple of the Sun and Moon. And when you roll up to these monoliths, you might think that you feel a little bit like Indiana Jones, of course, minus the hat and the whip and all the danger, but still pretty cool. And now we're whisking you away to the land of Moab, Utah, the home of Arches National Park. Now most people, when they go to Arches, they go and see Delicate Arch, they snap a few selfies, and then they're on their way. But not you, because you know that there's some epic trails to be had inside the park itself. And that takes us to number 2, which is Tower Arch Trail. This 4x4 trail is rated a moderate, and you'll need some good ground clearance to complete it in its entirety. We recommend coming off of 10 Mile Valley, which is the Whale Rock Loop, and going from there into Tower Arch and then taking the hard way out. Therefore, you have the limited amount of backtracking required. The great part of this trail is since it is more off the beaten path and requires a 4-wheel drive, you will see less people than Arches is known for. Arches does have a permit system during the summer, so we actually recommend, if you're off-roading, to hit this sometime when the weather is gorgeous in February or March or in November. November is a great time to go to Moab. Take it from somebody who lives near it. But after all that off-roading, you'll end up with a gorgeous view of Tower Arch, which will give you an opportunity to hike to it should you want to, or you can just look at it from the overlook. And what's great, if you visit during certain times of the year, you will be the only one there. You can hear the wind blowing through the canyons, and it is truly a spiritual experience that you have to have. And number 3, we are still sticking in the Moab area, but we are going even more remote. This trail is epic, and it is called the White Rim. The White Rim Road inside of Canyonlands National Park is probably one of the most rugged experiences you can get without going 2-day or 4-day trip down to the maze, which is a whole other experience. White Rim is pretty much known as the jewel of the off-roading experience for overlanders. This trail is 100 miles long, so you're gonna wanna plan accordingly. It requires permits, and you have to have a 4-wheel low range. That means, sorry crossovers, you're not gonna be able to do this trail because that is a requirement of the National Park Service. This trail has views, history, and everything that you should have in a Moab trail. The canyon views are epic. The campsites are quiet and pristine. You really can't get any better than this near the Moab area. To do the White Rim Trail correctly, you're gonna wanna spend a minimum of 2 days. We highly recommend 3. You're gonna wanna camp near the entrance to White Rim on day 1, And then you're gonna wanna camp somewhere in the middle of the trail on day 2 and at the end of the trail on day 3. That will make sure that your trail experience on this area isn't rushed and you have time to do some of the hikes that are along the way. So you're gonna wanna apply for your permit about 4 months in advance of when you wanna take your trip. Yes, you will not be able to plan on weather, but you are going to want to plan around the river flow. The Green River has a tendency of flooding in the early summer months. So the months of May and June are typically easier to get permits for because we don't know river conditions. It depends on snowpack each year. And that area typically ends up flooding into the area of Upheaval Dome, which makes the trail impassable, which could ruin your trip. The other thing you'll want to do besides planning multiple days is planning on your fuel economy. So you're going to either want to pack extra gas here or just know that your rig is going to hit the end of the trail and you're going to want to get gas the moment you get into Moab. From sheer cliffs to red rock mesas to water crossings to epic campsites, really, the White Rim Trail has it all, and it needs to be on your bucket list for trails. 3 national parks, 3 amazing off-road adventures, and a whole lot of epic driving. The only question we have for you is, which one are you gonna tackle first? Comment down below. And remember, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends, and we hope to see you out there on the trail soon, but bye for now.